What up? It's Leeds. Welcome. It's tea time. And today we've got a very special interview with one of the most hardest working individuals I've worked with in a long time, Mr. Sando Films. Mr. PSA in the building. Kane Major in the building. I'll make sure I get this. Why isn't it let me doing this? Okay, because I can't tag. All right. So look, everyone's early. I love it. Sando Films, one word. I messed that up earlier. All right. So shout out everybody here. Sando is here. He's making the request. We can go right into it. Is he there?
I'm there. What's up, brother?
Sando Films, you are early, my friend. Everyone's being early these days. Is this a new thing? Is early the new late?
No, I'm always early, man. I show up to jobs like half hour, 45 minutes early. I just always want to be on time. You know?
And the artists do too, right? They show up that early, right?
No, they're always late. Most of them don't know their lyrics. That's the way it goes.
We'll get into that later. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Leeds Edutainment Podcast, brought to you by the Chubby Chickpea Restaurant Food Truck. Today we got a very special guest, New England's own Sando Films. I would say your real name, but I don't know if you want me to say your real name because I don't really know you.
No, my real name is Scott Sandinato. That's where Sando Films comes from, the first five letters of my last name.
Yeah. Italian?
Hell yeah. You know what? I just recently found out that Sandinato is actually a village in Italy, and I guess that's where my people come from originally.
Sicily area?
I'm not sure. It's kind of like in the middle.
Have you ever been over there to the motherland?
I haven't. I have not. I would like to go at some point, though.
Everyone I've talked to says it's this incredible experience. Like it's one of the best things they've ever done. The best food, wine they've ever drinking. I can't drink wine, but everybody else does. It has a good time, but they love it. I've never heard a bad thing about Italy, except for COVID.
Yeah, they got hit pretty hard over there.
That was the only thing. But, for those that don't know, you're a movie director, music video director, I would say would be your title.
Videographer.
Okay.
Because I do cover a lot of events and live music stuff, which is basically videography in a whole.
I'm glad you made that distinction because I forgot about that. The difference between is a music video director fall under
a videographer by definition is somebody who covers live events and does small video production.
Nice.
The music video director is somebody who actually takes the reins on a shoot and sets up their actors, tells them what to do, picks the locations, picks the actors, and has more of a creative element on it with the artist, sometimes collaborating with the artist, which, when I do a music video director, I love when an artist comes with me with a treatment or a vision, which is very rare. A lot of guys saying, let's just go get a graffiti wall, and you know how it is.
I do.
But,
and I want to take people back because I always take people back. And, we'll get into all of this because it's coming. You're from Hull, Massachusetts, which I live in now.
Exactly.
I moved in, you moved out. So you saw me coming. You were smart. And you weren't always a videographer.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Hull is in Massachusetts on the South Shore. It's a peninsula in between Weymouth and Hingham, and not in between, but next to Hingham and Cohasset, and it's in that area, the South Shore area. Beach community, Nantasket Beach, beautiful beach, one of the best beaches in Massachusetts, New England, period. And the Hull has a long history. Talk to me about growing up in Hull, because Hull now is a lot different than it was when you were growing up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I lived there for most of my life, and it's a suburb, so you don't get a lot of urban feel down there. There's really no hip hop, but in the mid '80s, breakdancing became kind of a popular thing no matter where you were, and it was something that I just immediately took to. And I think one of the first songs I ever heard was "The Message" by Grandmaster Flash, which is a storytelling type track, and I didn't know that world, and I was amazed by it. So immediately I got right into breakdancing, and we had our little cruise around the South Shore, and that was a big thing. And then after that, it was hip hop. It was just all hip hop. Back then there wasn't a lot of hip hop. I would go to Quincy Records and Tapes, and they would have this little case, and it would have like maybe 10 cassettes in it. And every other week we'd go in there, there'd be a new cassette. No matter what it was, I bought it. But I mean, I'm an old school guy. I love all the old school stuff. I still listen to it all the time, and it's grown into different genres of hip hop now, which is great. But I'm always going to be an old school guy.
Right.
I'm an OG when it comes to that.
So I always forget this. You were a breakdancer first.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I wasn't the best at it, but I mean, I could do all the basic stuff. I could do windmills.
Because you're tall.
No hitting windmills, all that stuff,
Because you're tall like me. The taller you are, it's the less coordination you have. You have to really work on your coordination. So the breakdance, that must have been difficult.
Well, not really, because, at that time, I think it was around 14, 15 years old, and I didn't sprout up to 6'2" until like my junior year. So,
oh, wow.
And I grew like a whole foot. So I was a little bit shorter at the time when I was doing breakdancing.
You see, I grew early. I was like 6'2" in like 7th grade.
Wow.
I was so like I was playing basketball. I couldn't get they all wanted me to play all the sports because I was big and tall, but I grew too fast, and my coordination took a while to get. I still don't have any. But let's talk about growing up in Hull, you break dancing with crews, buying tapes and stuff like that. You got into a little bit of trouble at an early age, correct?
I did. I started. I wasn't that popular of a kid growing up. I didn't have a lot of friends. I got picked on a lot. And then I met these dudes. They were looking cool, and they just started selling weed. So of course I started selling weed, and it grew to something very large, quicker than we could think of. And did that for a few years. We got caught. We got busted with a box, 48 pounds, coming from California. I signed for the package. 10 minutes, like an hour later, they just pulled up on the lawn because they waited for us to open it, which we never did. And, we walked out, me and my buddy walked out to go get some food. And the minute I opened up my car door, it was like gangbusters, cops everywhere, guns out. I shit my pants. It was scary as shit. But
Is this in Hull?
This was in Quincy at the time. We were living in Quincy. So I ended up getting a really good lawyer, thankfully, to my dad. He was one of the best drug lawyers in Boston. His name was John McBride. He doesn't do it anymore. He got disbarred.
Is that his motto?
But he got me off.
Best drug lawyer in Boston. Hire me.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, he never went to court until it counted. And he walked in, and I got away with 2 years probation. I had a gun. So if I get away with that, it was pretty cool to get away with it. So my dad said to me, he says, I helped you out this time. Don't ever get in trouble again. I'm not going to help you out. So, I was clean for a while. And then I got involved in the club scene and the whole Roxy, Avalon, ecstasy thing. And, I walked into there one day and talking to a guy, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to be doing stuff in the club anymore. Do you want all my customers? So I was like, all right. So I was making like $2,000 a night in there. It was crazy, just going in there for a couple of hours, making all that money. I did that for a long time. I was in the club scene from probably 97 to like 2003 or 4. And then I got caught with a bunch of Special K. It was a trafficking charge. It was in a school zone. And, so I got locked up. He gave me a $500 bail. My buddy came, he got me out. Next morning I went to court. The judge happened to be a judge whose daughter died from a heroin overdose. And at the time, Special K ketamine was a Class A drug. So when they went before the judge, the lawyer said, they read the charge and they said Class A heroin. The minute the judge heard that, I was like, wait a second, this is a mistake. $25,000 bail. Got shipped off. So I sat there for 3 days before I called my dad because I was just scared shitless, and he said he was going to help me again. They had to put their house up, and, I ended up getting 2 years. So I did 2 years and a day. I got mostly was for the school zone. I got a day for trafficking. So I walked out, no parole, no nothing. And then I realized, you know, I got to make a change. I got to do something. So at the time when I got out, my dad had built a detail shop down in Hull. It was going to be a business that we were going to run together.
Yep.
And it really wasn't in a good location. It didn't do well, but my dad let me make my own hours. So at the time I decided I wanted to do something with video because it was always my dream to be a filmmaker. So I started working with my friend Coach Trump Chia, who he's like one of the top 10 Taekwondo coaches in the country. And he says, why'd you come and film some of the tournaments with me? And he took me all over the country. I got to film the Junior Olympics in Vegas. I went to Chicago. I went to Dallas, all over the place. And I kind of built my name up there because it was a huge platform. You know, Taekwondo is a big worldwide event. And I got really good at it. So then I decided I wanted to do something in hip hop, which I knew, but nobody at the time. So I think the first show I went to was a show at Maggie's by Hush Harding. It was a Hush Harding show. He used to have a little venue thing there he used to do.
Yeah, Maggie's
said,
Lounge.
hey,
it was literally someone's house.
Pretty much. And I was like, hey, can I come in and film you? And he's like, I don't know you, but I'll take the free exposure. And, you know, I started going in there. I met, you know, all the dudes in Headshots and all the South Shore guys and started networking. And, you know, at the time I didn't have a car. I had to take, you know, buses and trains everywhere I go. So then somehow somebody put leads into my ear that you were doing big shows out of the Middle East. So I started coming out there, and at the time I had to buy tickets, which was, you know, at the time I had no money, and I had to take a train there. So I had to leave before the headliner came on every time just to get home to Hull in time, you know?
Brutal.
But, you know, then I got to know you on a personal level, and I said, hey, you know, let's make a deal. I'll do 1-minute recaps for me. You take care of me, get me in there. And then I started meeting all the opening acts, and I started to do little solo projects for them. And that's how I learned my hustle and how to make money and be able to go and do something for you for nothing and still walk away with $500-600 in my pocket.
That's nice.
So,
hey,
you know,
real quick, do you got anything going on in the background, like any wind fans or anything like that?
I got a fan on, but it's hot as fucking here.
Turn it off because they're picking it up a little bit in the back.
All right, give me a second.
You might have to take off the jumpsuit.
No, that's my shit. All right, how's that?
Yeah, that's better. Sorry, these things are sensitive.
All right.
But yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to think. I just like remember you showing up at shows. I can't remember the specific moment that I met you or what show it was. I just remember all of a sudden Sando's like at every show. And we lost Sando. Sando has officially, as soon as we started talking about him showing up at the show, okay, he's coming back. Let's see. Here we go. Shout out everybody. Shout out Mike DiNatale and shout out Jackson Whalen in the building. Youssef in the building.
Hey, sorry, man. I tried to get rid of the comments and then I went to the side, but I'm back.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, sounds better now. And yeah, so yeah, I was trying to think of what was the show that like I met you at, but I can't pinpoint it.
I don't remember because, you know, at
what
the time,
year?
I didn't. What's that?
What year do you think it was? You started coming
let's
to Leech?
see. I would say I started probably 2015, I think. And, you know, at the time, I knew who you were, but you seemed like you were always running around. You were mad busy, so I never really had a chance to talk to you. But I think one of the first times I talked to you about coming and doing shows was you were doing an interview at Overdog. And I was like, oh, that's a perfect place where I can go in and it'll be calm and I can talk to you about it. And that's when I first had mentioned to you about doing that.
Somehow I remember the conversation being like, you saw that I was at Jake's on Facebook.
That's right.
And you came up to me and you were like, yo, you were at Jake's. I used to work there, but I thought you said you still work there.
Oh, okay.
So the next time I was there, I was like, hey, is this Sandor working here? Is he around here?
Yeah.
Like, no, man, I don't know what that is. But yeah, that's kind of how I remember meeting you, actually talking to you for the first time. But yeah, you've been a beast ever since, man.
Thanks, man.
The work ethic alone. I mean, you know, you're always out and you're always shooting. You know, and the videos, and you turn them over quick. And as a freelancer, that's not an easy thing. I've worked with a lot of freelancers, and your ability, your follow through, which I think is one of the keys to your success. It's one of the keys to my success. That's why I say it. Is amazing because you you perform on a deadline. Let's talk about how important that is to running your business and how that's really how you kept relationships.
When I was working with it was working at the detail shop with my dad, obviously I had another job. Luckily, I was able to do this full time. And when this is a full-time job, all you got is time. So if I'm not shooting, I'm home editing. And it's been getting a little bit tougher to try to keep up with everything because once shows started opening again, I try to go to everything. Like if there's a hip hop event, you're gonna see me there. And I always see people say, "Dude, I just saw you somewhere else last night. Now you're here." And how do you do all that? But it's just like if you wanna, like my whole goal is someday to be able to do some kind of a documentary about the Boston hip hop scene. Everything I've shot as a show, I save. I put in a hard drive, and I have all these hard drives that are aside that are labeled by year, and I try to keep all of that so that someday that I'll be able to do something with it.
Let's talk about what are some of your favorite shows you've filmed?
Oh my God! Well, I love filming for Benny the Butcher. Every time they come to town, since that first show they did at Middle East, they love my recap. And every time I come to town, they give me media passes, they give me full backstage. I love shooting his shows.
110%.
Yeah. I love shooting. Chris Webby is great live. I love shooting for Justin Clancy. When he comes around, I love to do his shows. Token always puts on a good show. Millie's puts on a great show. When I have a lot of energy and you have a lot of crowd participation, those are the shows I like. It's not every venue is a venue you can get to every angle and corner. Because I try to make it look like, 5 or 10 different people shot it because I move around my angles,
Yeah. Let's talk about the lighting, because you were always complaining to me about the Middle East lighting. You're always, get rid of the damn lights, guys.
Well, you know what? It's always been these dark greens and these reds, and you ended up having there was a girl that started doing the shows there. Her name was Rachel, and I started talking to her, and I was like, "Can you give me a lot of white light?" So every time I came in and she saw me, she made sure it worked out well.
And shout out Rachel. She was a great lighting director.
Yeah, she's actually back. I saw her for the Justin Clancy show. She was in there.
Oh, that's cool.
She's still doing it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the music videos.
Okay.
That's the live shows and the music videos, which is most of your business, right? I would imagine paid business is from.
I'd say it's about 50-50 because half my income is from shows, doing solo recaps and stuff like that. Like that's really my bread and butter. So when shows went away, that killed me, man. Like, and I'm sure it killed you too.
It took me out.
Yeah.
It didn't kill me because I'm still alive, standing, trying to figure something else out. But to me, it was at the same time I'd done it for 17 years. So if that was what ended it, that's a hell of a way to go out. But yeah, I lost a job. I lost promoting shows. I lost all that. That was all gone. And it's still struggling today.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that you made like 50-50 like that. I thought you were mainly a music director, but yeah, man.
You make more on a music video, but if I go into a show and get 3 people for solo recaps, that's about the same amount of money, So that's why shows are very important to me. And now that I've started to branch out into different genres of music, like right when the pandemic was starting to end, I saw that there was a local country artist and she was doing a show at Mix Live. There was nobody else going to be there. They were just doing like a show there. So I reached out to her, and her name's Annie Brops. She just got nominated she's won 3 awards at the New England Music Awards. She just got nominated for Best Country Artist for the Boston Music Awards. And she has been a great client. She passed my name on to all these other country artists. So now I'm doing all kinds of country stuff. So it's not all just hip hop. Like I just did a metal video, my first heavy metal video as well.
Yeah, no, that's good to be able to diversify.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to,
especially as a director, and a videographer. You can't stay to one genre. For leads, I have to kind of stay to hip hop because that's what the brand is. It's a hip hop brand.
True.
I can't. If I posted a rock song on the lead socials, people are like, "What the hell is this?" Like it's tough enough with a right hook joint or something. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
It's like people are like, "Whoa, guitar." But it's it's very important to diversify your base. You know,
It is.
that's very important.
It is.
And especially in this times where you need every dollar you can get.
Sure.
So I want to go back to the music videos again. You know, we talked about the levels of music videos, you know, how you love when someone comes to you with a treatment. Nowadays, most artists coming up, you know, they don't have a lot of money, so they want basic videos. They want what we call point and shoot. Is that the right term? Like you just
yeah, I would say that. I would say
point and shoot. Just put me in front of a wall rapping. Here's all my
point and
toys.
shoot or run and gun. Would call
run and gun, point and shoot. And you know, if it's a financial thing, if that's all they can afford, that's all they can afford, right? But talk to me about the difference between a treatment video, for those that don't know what a treatment is, like, versus a point and shoot. Like someone that, let's talk about that and the benefits.
Okay, so all right, I'll give you an example. One of the artists that I work with, Cynical, he always comes with a treatment. And, you know, I love when, I mean, I'm talking, he has it typed up. He has all the shots exactly where he wants to be. And then we'll come together on ideas while we're on set. Because I do think of a lot of things while I'm there.
Yep.
And I like it when there's a little story going on in the background, like you have a little bit of a cinematic movie. One of the bigger ones I did was for this artist, Kedava. And we came up with this idea of doing like, he was like the Godfather. And it's this whole thing where we have this like little mini movie going on in the background. That's actually one of my favorite videos because there's so much movie aspect to it. And you and me both are huge movie fans. So I always try to incorporate something like that into a video, you know?
Right. Do you think that people notice that type of attention to detail? Does it matter? Treatments to people, or do they just want something quick and easy? Well,
see, I have no problem doing quick and easy because that makes my job easier. But sometimes it depends on how the artist comes to you. If they feel like they don't care about their music and it's just kind of like a hobby thing, how am I supposed to care about it? You know what I'm saying? So I'll shoot what they want, and they're still going to get a great product, but I'm not going to feel as 100% in it if they're not as 100% in it. I think that's super important to, like, if you're going to be in music and this is what you want to do, this has to be, you know, your vision should be important to you. Don't you think?
Right. Absolutely. No, I just, you know, because I've seen a lot of things with social media, like where it's like the more basic the video, the easier it connects with an audience on social media. I'm not talking about YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because we've shot these basic in-studio ones that have done really well.
Right? Yeah, we did a couple. We did one for Problematic. We just did the one with XL, which I love the XL one. Like I really kind of try to make that.
Yeah, and you did a great job. But that is a real simple, you would say maybe point and shoot to some extent, and it works. Versus if we draw out the storyline too much, we might lose the viewer. Might be like, what is going on here? All of a sudden they're in this weird fantasy thing. Do you think that, I guess what are your thoughts on that? Because is a treatment of too much story an issue, or is
that's
basic?
The thing too. It depends on the song. If it's just rappity rap, there's really not much that story. But if you're telling the story in the track, like from the days of old hip hop, where there would be a story, you're telling a story. I hear that song, and I automatically get a vision, you know. And the artist will have his own vision as well. So when we come together and collaborate on it, you know, it's. I do get a lot of songs where I'll listen to it, I'll immediately start thinking of ideas. But then there's one where I'm just like, there's really not much here, but to just throw a bunch of B-roll in. Right. Like, example, the track I just did for Mike Dinatelli, the one, God's Country, when he sent that to me, everything he was talking about with Boston sports and Boston itself, Sitco sign, all that stuff, as I listened to it the first time, everything was in my head. And I shot it exactly like it was in my head. And I was really proud of that video. So, and it's about Boston. I love Boston. I love, you know, I'm not a big sports guy, but I still love the fans, the Boston teams, and, you know.
You're tribal.
Exactly.
Like most people.
Yeah.
So these are positive things about making music videos. Let's talk about the frustrating things that people can do when putting together a music video. What are some things that drive you freaking nuts?
Okay. Lateness, I can't stand.
Yeah.
I can't stand when somebody doesn't know their lyrics. I'm not going to say who, but a certain Boston artist that had a feud with Eminem. I did a video for him, and he was 2 hours late, 40 takes just to get one verse. I knew the song on the way over. So if I can learn the song on the way over, you should come ready and know that. You know, unfortunately, the video didn't come out, but
Shocker.
It is what it is, you know. So
don't be super drunk. Don't be super high. I remember that. We won't say names on this, but there was one video where you were yelling at the guy because
I was so mad.
Too shit.
I was like, he was fall down drunk. Like,
shoot a video, fall down drunk. I remember you calling me like, I had to scream at this guy. He's drunk all in the video. No,
young kid. What are you gonna do? You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it seems like you were that wild back then too.
Yeah, I was.
So now let's talk about the pressure of being a freelancer and being your own boss. And now let's talk about that, because that's a lot of stress. You have to pay. You don't get paid unless you go out and get the business. So there's enough business there.
True.
And I think that's what drives your hustle, obviously.
Yeah, you know what? I was a hustler in the drug game, and I just brought that hustle to this in a different way with a different product. You know, a more positive one, and one that's not going to get me locked up again.
Yes.
But,
please.
you know, I just found a way to move through the music scene. And, like, the minute I get there, I find out who the openers are. If I don't do it prior, I'll send them examples of my work and say, hey, I can do this for you. And most of the time, even like when I'm on site, I'll show them on my phone. They're like, oh, I want that. You know, so as long as I have that example to show them, I'm not just going to walk in and say, oh, I can make this dope video for you and not have anything to show them. Like, I say, this is it. And they go, wow, I want that. Yeah. And, you know, I end up doing pretty well with that, you know.
Yeah, too bad you weren't coming to the shows around 2010 between 2015, because I used to have like 7 or 8 opening acts on each show. You would have made a killing.
I still do shows, but there's like 20 opening acts.
Yeah, they ain't mine. I'm just being clear, those ain't mine no more.
No, I know that.
Someone posted a funny meme the other day. It was a guy crying, and it says, when the 75th opening act says, do you want one more?
That's hilarious. But also too, you know, when I do go up to these openers and get solo recaps, then after we do the work, I send them my video music, you know, my music video reel, and then it usually turns into doing a music video. So it's like one thing going to the next.
You know, and shout out to you for working with all the local artists. I mean, I know that's you know, you get a lot of business there, but I mean, not everybody's willing to work with anybody, even with the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know directors that like, I don't like the song, I ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean?
I've done that. There's been times I've done that. It's absolutely. I've heard some bad stuff, and I'm just. But like,
really, it must be really bad for you not to do it, because I feel like you really go out of your way to work with pretty much most people.
Well, I don't want to be biased towards anybody. Like, I work with everybody. If you know, if it's a song that hurts my fucking ears, I'm gonna pass on it. And you know, there's also then how are you gonna say that to the person without hurting their feelings? And, you know, constructive criticism should go with an artist. They should be able to take it. But sometimes you just can't. Like, you have to say it in a way where, like, you know, it's just not something I want to do. Like, you have to say it in a way where it's gonna be not being a douchebag. You know. Yeah.
But for the most part, I think you give people a lot of leeway and a chance for the most part. You try.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think let's just make the point is you try to work with as many up and coming artists as possible.
Well, I mean, that's the goal, because you end up working with the right artist and they blow up. If they're solid, they'll take you with you. You know what I'm saying? So it hasn't happened yet, but you know, I still have a lot of artists I work with that I believe in, that I feel will maybe get to that point. You know?
Yeah. Let's talk about equipment, because this is obviously a very important, crucial factor. Your quality of camera, lighting, stuff like that. Let's talk about the camera you use.
It's a lot of, there's definitely a lot of learning there. When I first started, I was using a Sony Handycam camcorder. you know, but I didn't know about, you know, 480p, 720p, 1080, 4K. I didn't know the difference, and I didn't realize how important lenses were. So I started off with some basic T6i, you know, Canon. Then I eventually went up to an 80D, and then Josh Bliss Light and Triller's Bliss, he was using a GH5, and we were talking about it. He says, yeah, I love this camera. So I ended up buying that camera, which is the camera I've been using for the past probably 4 years. Great camera. But, you know, I've always been a Canon guy. So when the new Canon R6 came out in July, full frame, 4K, mirrorless camera, I had to have it. And
Yeah.
I love this camera. Like, live shows, it shoots in low light so well, and my live show stuff is a lot better than it was. And, you know, I just bought a new lens for it. So, I mean, that was, you know, lenses are expensive. It was like $2,500 for the lens, but that lens makes the camera so much better. You know, and you know, I bought a lot of stuff early on in the days. I would buy lens extenders and lens wideners and all this stupid shit that I didn't need to buy. But, you know, a lot of the guys in the scene, like, you know, Mr. DL, Rose Glenn, you know, Triller's Bliss, I would ask them questions, you know, just in Messenger, and they were always good about it. They're always like, hey, yeah, let me give you some advice. And, you know, they're always good to help me out, which, you know, was mad cool, because most people don't want to help somebody coming up that's maybe trying to move in on their business. But, like, there's so much business, like, there's enough to go around. I mean, there's definitely more videographers out there now than there were when I started. You know, there was 4 or 5 major ones that I could think of, but now it's like there's so many different names flying around and new content. And some of these younger kids coming up, they're wicked good, like, you know.
Yeah. I want to go, and that's cool that those guys gave you that information and passed it on to you, and hopefully you can pass it on to other people, you know, because, you know, you talk about other equipment. The other day you saw somebody coming in with this like gigantic stabilizer backpack thing going on. It looked like a friggin' Star Wars guy. You looked over at him and you were like, looked over at me like, dude, just hold the camera steady. You don't need that.
Well, here's the thing. If you're hired,
I was like, wow, that's all it is. Huh?
If you're hired by the artist and you're doing like some kind of a DVD feature, like with, you know, Trevor Finney, he works with Jordan Lucas, he needs that because, you know, you just need to have it. But if you're just going out to just shoot a show, just hold the camera steady. Like, I've been doing it for, you know, 10 years now. And I mean, it was a little shaky at the beginning, but I mean, I can hold up my camera in my one arm for 20 minutes with all steady. Like, so I just feel like it's a lot to bring to a show, and you're in the way of everybody else. Like, you're on stage. Some people don't have camera etiquette too. They'll step right in front of you and not even like. I've always been good at going around other people, making sure I don't step into. What the fuck? Like, it was like, really, dude?
Well, I tell you, I've had issues with videographers on stage just getting too up close with the performer. I don't like that. I think that's bad for the viewers, the people that paid to get in to watch the headliner or watch the show. So I always tell, you know, play the sideline. You should be able to get enough footage on the sideline. But sometimes they don't listen. They want to get like right on the guy's performing, and they're like right on him. And I'm like, I have to grab him half the time. Like,
now, I don't do that, right?
No, you're good.
See, I also have a zoom lens. If you don't have a good zoom lens, you can't I can get right in, so it looks like I'm right in front of them, but that's because I got the zoom lens, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had many arguments with videographers over that. They don't really like me when it comes to that. But at the end of the day,
I'm glad I'm not one of them.
People paid to watch the show. They didn't pay to watch the video camera guy run around the friggin' stage. You know what I mean? True. Even if the artist wants it filmed, it's not good for it doesn't look good for the show. If someone else is filming it from the audience and they're filming some guy up there filming the performer, it's, you know, a shot here and there, no big deal. But if it's constantly through the set, which a lot of these guys like to do, it's like, dude, you gotta fall back a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was always an issue.
Yeah. I could see.
So yeah. So where are you at? So let's talk about other videographers. Do you have any inspirations in the area or in general?
Oh yeah, I mean I love Trevor Finney. He's always been somebody that, you know, we kind of came up around the same time. I love Triller's Bliss's stuff. I love Steve Pacegod.
Who's that? I don't know that.
He goes by Pace God, but he's really good. I like him a lot. Mike Clips from Brockton, I love his stuff. Ben Cassani, he's unbelievable. Like I consider him like a cinematographer. His stuff is just beautiful. Rose Glenn, obviously, Mr. DL, like all those guys. What's his name? I can't even think. I can't. Oh, Carl Beneke. And I've done a lot of stuff with him. I love his work. And I watch all their work, and I'm inspired by them, and hopefully they're inspired by some of the stuff I do as well.
Yeah, that's great, man. And so business is good now.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot. I'm looking at my board right now, and it's a little scary for me, but yeah. I mean, I got, as far as shows recaps that I'm behind on, I got to do Rome Streets with R.A. the Rugged Man, Chris Webby, Lord Finesse, Freddie Gibbs, Benny the Butcher, Rod Digger. So it's like those are kind of like things I do on the side because I love hip hop and I love the culture.
Right.
But I always got to do the paid jobs first. So I mean, right now I'm working on a video for Black Medine, taking you to the old school, which features Elder Sensei of the Artifacts, and we got him to come in and do the hook, and Chuck D of Public Enemy. I didn't shoot the footage, but C-Doc, the producer, he filmed him out at Rock the Bells, and he did the verse first. And I just got the footage.
Cool.
So I'm excited about that. What else? I've been working with these artists out of Brockton, BSG, Brockton Soldiers Grinding, and they have a new artist, Southside Kizzy, and he just did a track with Millie's, and a lot of my B-roll got onto the final video. And we actually went out to New York, and his video was up on the Times Square, screen, and I filmed the whole thing. And just to see clips that I did in Times Square on the screen was just like surreal to me. Like it's just, and I've been doing a lot of work with these guys. They give me a lot of work, and I appreciate that. Like it's, when you get to work with a record label or a certain crew that keeps bringing you back because they like your work, it's a steady income, and it's great to have that. Because a lot of people, sometimes I just work with once, and obviously they're going to go to other directors because everybody has a different vision, and I have no problem with that. But I mean, like I work with Life Crisis. I've done 12 videos for him. We just did a video with 38 Special. We shot over at Hush Harding Studio, just a quick little in-studio thing. He produced the track. Static Selector does the cuts on it, and Life actually has a project coming out with Static and 38 Special. So, he's one of my good friends, and I've been working with him forever. So it's always good to have those clients that always want to use you.
Yep. What are some of your favorite music videos you've done?
One of my favorites is Slay and Do What You Love.
That's a good one.
Because he was always one of my favorite artists in Boston growing up, and when he had asked me to do the 2 songs off of his new album, like I was just like, wow, I can't believe like I'm gonna work with this guy finally. And George is wicked cool. Like I got to know him a little bit over the years, and he's a lot different than the old Slade, which luckily I never met.
I know them both.
But he came to me with the idea that he wanted to have people that were in recovery send in signs, telling their clean time. You were actually one of them. And then we kind of came up with an idea where, he wanted to use his boxer friend who was in recovery and just kind of get some B-roll with that. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take this another step further. So then I got Matt Gannum, and we got, Keith Mize to do his little piece. And then the final story was Slain in the studio. So in addition to everything with all the signs and all the people in recovery, we had those little storylines of people that were in recovery that were peppered in through the video. And, he was so happy with it. Ak was happy with it. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite videos. Like I get goosebumps watching it because, I believe in people in recovery and people that are sober because I respect that a lot. It's not an easy thing to get over.
One thing I forgot to bring up is the car accident.
Okay.
I forgot about the car accident. Somehow we missed this.
Okay, well that was before I was doing any of this. So this happened in 1993.
Yes, let's talk about this.
I was a big drinker back then.
Sure.
And we went to playoffs in Weymouth. It was me and 3 of my buddies. The driver said he wasn't going to drink. He ended up getting shit-faced. We all get shit-faced. So we get in this Mustang afterwards, and, the car ride home wasn't that bad. But when we got down to towards Hingham, you know that back way when you go in to Hingham?
Yep.
It's a straightaway. For some reason, this kid decided he wanted to do 100 miles a fucking hour. So I'm scared shitless. I'm in the back seat. I got my seatbelt on as tight as it can be. And this was an old Mustang, so it didn't have this strap. I'm begging, pleading this kid, tears in my eyes, to please fucking stop and let me out of the car. He wouldn't let me out of the fucking car. So we get down to the end where it just turns like this. And he couldn't obviously stop. We went right into a fucking house, dead stop, like 90 miles an hour. So I had the seatbelt on. My whole body went forward except for where that fucking seatbelt was. And it crushed everything in my stomach all the way back to my spine. I was able to get myself out of the car, which the paramedics couldn't believe it because of the extensive damage. And I just immediately laid down on the ground. And I was instantly sober, like at this point. And I just watched my stomach just fill up, like just start distending. And it was bleeding internally. So, you know, the fire department came and they had to cut the driver out of the car. My buddy in the front seat walked away with not a scratch. I don't know how he did. The kid
Did he have the strap?
He had the strap, he had the strap because they had him in those cars back in the day. But yeah, he walked away. I think he just bruised his knees on the dashboard, so he was fine. He was kind of a bigger kid. The kid next to me broke his ankle. The kid in the front seat, you know, he had a lot of liver damage and stuff like that, but he was basically in the engine. But at this point, I didn't give a fuck about him because he wouldn't let me out of the fucking car. So they came and they cut him out of the car. They med flighted me, so they had to park the helicopter over behind Paragon and behind the Horizon condos where that big parking lot was. So I had to go over to the ambulance to go over to the helicopter, and they brought me to Brigham and Women's. I went right into the emergency room, and all it was saying was, like, put me out. Like, I'm in so much fucking pain. He just knocked me out. And he's like, we need to see what's going on. So the doctor basically, they numbed up my stomach. They cut it open. I watched this guy's hand go into my abdomen. And then he says, okay, put him under. I know what's going on. 28 hours of surgery, off and on. They basically took out all of my intestines and laid them on a table, went through it one by one, and they had to cut out all the damaged parts of my intestine. I had a bruised heart, a punctured lung. You know, I was in really, really bad shape. So I had the surgery. I didn't wake up until like a week later in ICU. And I remember my mother and father, you know, standing on the side of me, and they said, you know, we got something to tell you. So first thing I'm thinking is I'm never going to walk again, or something fucked up like that. So they told me that my intestines were so badly damaged that they had to give me a colostomy bag, which at 21 years old, to have something like that, it's very embarrassing. It's tough to get through. But, you know, they said, listen, it's temporary. They're going to be able to fix it. At some point, they're going to be able to reverse it and make you normal again. So I was in the hospital for almost 9 months straight. And I couldn't eat anything. I was heavy.
South Shore Hospital? Brigham Women's?
No, I was at Brigham Women's. I was getting mail there. That's how long I was there. So, you know, they told me that, you know, you're not going to be able to eat because we're going to start feeding you, you know, through your vein. At the time, I was almost 260 pounds when I went in there.
So you were heavy.
And I left there, I was a 140. So all of a sudden, I had this metabolism where I could basically eat whatever I wanted, and it goes through me so fast that I can't even retain the weight. So I've been able to maintain being thin, you know, all these years, which has been the only good part about it. I mean,
so you were a heavier guy back in the day then.
Yeah, I never was like a round guy, but I had the belly, I had the neck and all that other stuff.
You were eating all that Italian food all the time.
I mean, I go into Burger King and eat 4 double cheeseburgers off the whack like nothing.
Well, dude.
So it was a long road. It was a long road. The kid didn't have insurance. I got no money. So my hospital bills were $250,000. And back then they had free care. So luckily it covered everything. Then, you know, I went and had the surgery. They took the bag off. I had problems. They had to put it back on again. Then finally, the second time they took it off, you know, I went through, I mean, I got a scar from here to here. You know, they opened me up like 13 times going in and out of there. But I didn't drink a lot after that. You know, it was a bad decision I made, you know, being drunk and just getting in a car with a drunk driver and not even thinking about it. So I kind of was like became like the designated driver for all my drunk friends after that, you know? So yeah, that was it's big. I've had some big moments in my life that, I should be dead a couple times over, you know?
Well, the fact that you survived that is a freaking miracle.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's a freaking rough one.
And I'll tell you, my poor parents, I put them through hell, not only with the criminal shit, but, almost dying. And, they've stuck by me through everything. They're great people. When I started to tell them I wanted to do this, it's kind of hard to tell somebody, oh, I'm going to be this great filmmaker, or I'm going to do this and that, after all the shit that I've already done. So it took them a little while to kind of have that belief in me. But when they really did, they really stepped up. They bought me my first camera. My dad, when I was working with him, he let me work whatever hours I needed to work so that I could start building this, which, I love them for that. Like, you don't have a lot of parents that will stick by with you after, major drug problems and being in jail, because they get sick of it after a while. It gets a little tiring, and, they stuck with me, which was huge. Yeah.
Are you an only child?
No, I have an older brother. He's 4 years old. He lives down in Florida.
Is he a troublemaker like you, or?
No, not really. He's just not the best person in the world.
Oh, jeez. We won't go there. We won't go there.
No.
So the last thing I want to talk about is you are a diehard Eminem fan.
I am.
You literally told me all I listen to is Eminem besides the videos I shoot.
Well, it's not all that I listen to, but, he's definitely heavy rotation on my playlist. I still think he's still a beast. There's some shit that he does that I don't like. Sometimes he does some fucked up shit with his voice, or he'll just rap words. But every album always has unbelievable punchlines and all that other stuff, like the way he flips stuff. And to be doing it at his age and still being as good as he is, I mean, a lot of people will disagree with me. And I don't get in fights with people on social media about Eminem. Like, I don't even go down that road. Like, I don't get in fights with anybody on social media. I don't get political. I don't talk about my personal life. I keep it all business, because I've seen people, going to Facebook jail for saying this, or you say something to somebody and then they get everybody against you. And I don't want to be against anybody. Like, I want everybody to like me and want to work with me. I don't want to be hated. Like, I can understand from a rapper's point of view, they got to have that like attitude, but I don't need to be that way.
So most Eminem fans you meet, that have been around as long as we have, are like, I like the old stuff. I only like the old stuff. I don't like the new stuff. I don't like any of that. I wish you would just rap like Marshall Mathers. You don't subscribe to that theory.
No, but I mean, of course I love the old stuff, but I like the new stuff too. And when people say that, oh, he's going to go back to the old man. You can't, as an artist, you can't go back and doing shit when you were doing 25. You have to grow as an artist with the times, which I think he's been able to do that. Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, I wish he would go back to the old school Eminem, because it'd be just playing himself over again and over again. Like, you can't keep going doing that. You saw him at Boston Calling, and what a phenomenal show he puts on. I mean, I've seen him probably 10 times.
Did you see the Up in Smoke tour when they did it?
I did. It was in Worcester.
How was that? Because I didn't go to that. How was that back then?
Aside from the Boston Calling show, and then the one I saw at Giant Stadium with Rihanna, his 3 best shows. And that was a great show, because, he came out with the orange jumpsuit and the Jason mask and a live chainsaw. And, the DVD that they did is actually the Worcester show. So if you get a chance, check that out, because I mean, it was such a phenomenal show. I mean, you got Snoop Dogg, you got Dre, Exhibit, Ice Cube, like, insane.
Yeah. What's your favorite Eminem album?
I mean, see, now it's going to go back into I like the old Eminem again. I would have to say Marshall Mathers is definitely my favorite.
I mean, it's hard to argue that that's not the best one. You know what I mean? It's
no,
hard to say.
It's hard, but I mean, I love the Eminem show. A lot of people didn't like Recovery, but I liked it. I loved
because the voice was on. He did the voice change on Recovery, right? Oh, no, not Recovery. Relapse. Relapse is the voice change.
Yeah. He started.
Recovery's a great album. Recovery is one of my favorite albums, because I got sober right at the time that he put that album out. So it was like he was getting sober for the first time. So to me, that's got like huge significance. To me, that was his comeback album, in my opinion. because I didn't love Relapse, but I loved Recovery.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about Relapse either, but yeah, I did love Recovery. I wasn't a fan of Revival, which a lot of people weren't. Though after Revival, I think he got pissed off. And then he dropped Kamikaze. And
just to stop on Revival real quick, a lot of people hated the Revival, but Revival had some really good songs.
No, they do. Don't get me wrong, but it's not.
And that's the thing. Is like, you know, yeah, there might be some really bad ones. You know, commercially, whatever. You know, sometimes he has to appease a large audience, right?
Yeah.
Production wise, pop music wise, he's a pop artist, pretty much.
Yeah.
So he has to do production things that other hip hoppers don't have to do. And, you know, you make mistakes doing that sometimes. You don't know what the reaction is until you put it out.
Yeah.
You know, and, but yeah, you're right. After Revive.
He dropped Kamikaze and he was fucking angry again. And you could tell. And I was just like, now that's fucking shady. Like, he's back. Like, yeah. And, you know, I'm listening the minute that album gets dropped. And even if it's at midnight, I'm listening until I'm done with it. Like, it's just, he's one of the artists I will always listen to no matter what.
And Music to Get Murdered to, that's the other one, right? The one that follows after.
He did part 1 and part 2, yeah. But I feel
both
like
good.
Something else is coming, I think. I think it's about time he's going to drop another one.
I mean, technically, I would have to say, in my opinion, technically he's the best rapper of all time. He can do things no one else can do.
I agree.
No one can do Rap God. Who can do Rap God? You know what I mean?
You know, I had this conversation with
Tech Nine could maybe do Rap God. That fast. They did the Speed 'em track, and it kind of shows what they all can do there. But
true.
But the versatility to be able to do Rap God and then do all these other things. I mean, technically, Jay-Z, Nas, these guys can't. Busta Rhymes, maybe Busta Rhymes.
Yeah,
I'm saying it out loud, but technically, I don't know, man. I think technically he's one of the best.
I don't know, I think Royce is up there with him. He's
but Royce can't do what Eminem does on a lot of levels.
No, but you know what? Eminem also has a bigger bag to pull from, because, you know, nobody's out there. When he first came out, he was saying shit about his mother and like just crazy shit, and, you know, stuff about homosexuals. Like, nobody would really go to that bag like he did. I just feel like he had, you know, being a white guy, like he had a little bit more of a bigger audience, because, you know, going for kids in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they
white audience. He's speaking to a white audience.
Yeah.
And then the combination of him and Dre working together there is that combination.
Yeah.
Gasoline on a friggin' became a gigantic fire.
Yeah.
It took me a while to warm up to Eminem. I'm not going to lie. The first one, Slim Shady, I was like, it's good. It's kind of silly, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, Marshall Mathers came out. I was like, oh, I really like him. And then, you know, then I became a fan later on. I didn't love all his antics.
You know, I almost went to that show at the Middle East. But at the time I was pretty young, and I would have to go to Boston by myself, but I'm kicking myself in the ass that I missed that fucking show.
There's a light there, old light with a sticker on it that says, "Hi, my name is Slim Shady."
Oh, really?
On that show, yeah. He did two at the Middle East. He did one where he was like all fucked up on ecstasy, and then he did another one. I don't know. There's one where he did was all screwed up on ecstasy. I guess maybe it wasn't as good. I don't remember the details. There's footage of one that undergroundhiphop.com got.
I saw it. It was actually, I was just talking to Van Styles.
It's right when the Slim Shady LP is about to drop.
Yeah.
The EP had dropped, and then that's about to happen, and it's really the takeoff right before the takeoff.
Yeah, they did an interview with him too, and he was all fucked up, and
he had the blonde hair all ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, they were ready to push that thing.
Yeah.
But Sando, this has been great. I got to wrap this up.
I just got a couple things to mention.
Sure.
So I got a couple big projects in the works.
All right.
I just did something for the hip hop transformation. We shot a mini documentary. They're teaching kids how to make music. So we went through the whole process of them, you know, teaching them how to make music right up until their show. So we shot for 3 days. It's going to be probably some of my best work, because I had the new camera and I get the nice lights and the sound, and I'm really proud of that. And just dropped a video with Brandy Blaze, because she's coming out with a new album. I'm doing her album release, and you know, I got some stuff coming out. Just keep tuned to my channel. I drop everything that I do. I try to drop as much as I can. Sometimes I have 5 or 6 videos coming out 1 week, but
Yeah.
I love doing it. And, you know, thank you for having me on. You know, you've been a huge influence to me, and you've helped my career so much. And I appreciate you. I appreciate all the people that come up to me at the shows and tell me they like my work, because it's those things that build my confidence and make me feel like I'm good at what I do. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And it does. And thank you for your hard work and dedication to the New England hip hop scene. It's been such a blessing, as I can say, to have someone with your efficiency and your work ethic, you know,
Thanks,
supporting
man.
this music, and your ability too, and you do keep getting better and better. So we all look forward to seeing more. Sando, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon. And
All
I
right.
just want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Leeds Edutainment Podcast with special guest videographer Sando Films. Thank you, bro.
And shout out to PSA, my best buddy.
Yes, shout out to the GOAT. Peace.
Later.